know that feeling, that sudden, gut-wrenching moment.
Okay.
The tires go silent, the steering wheel feels light, and the car you trust is suddenly just this unpredictable sled.
It's that moment where the rules of the road just stop applying. And the rules of physics take over completely. You're not driving anymore.
You're just a passenger.
You are a passenger in a very scary physics demonstration.
Mm.
And that helplessness is what makes a slide so terrifying.
Exactly. And that split second of panic is where so many preventable crashes begin. So our mission in this deep dive is, well, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
We want to give you the knowledge to turn that terror into informed, decisive action. We've gone through a huge stack of sources on advanced and defensive driving, all focused on one thing: how to understand, control, and hopefully prevent a slide.
Let's get into it.
Okay, let's start at the very foundation. Why does a car even slide in the first place? What's, the root cause?
The root cause is a really simple concept, actually. It's a loss of traction. And traction isn't some fixed thing. You can think of it like a finite budget.
A traction budget. I like that analogy.
Every single thing you do, steering, braking, accelerating, it spends a little bit of that budget. A slide happens when all the forces on the car, your inputs plus momentum, overwhelm that budget.
So you run out of grip?
You run out of grip. The connection is lost. For example, if your tires are using, say, 80% of their budget just to handle a corner,
right,
and then you suddenly ask them to brake hard, you've just tried to spend over 100%.
Yeah.
The budget is blown, and the grip vanishes.
So multitasking for tires is a dangerous game.
It is. And what's really fascinating here is how weight transfer plays into all this.
Ah, okay.
Your car isn't a solid block. When you turn, weight gets pushed to the outside wheels. When you brake, it slams forward.
I can feel that when I'm driving.
Exactly. And that shift can momentarily lighten the very wheels that need the most grip, like the rear wheels when you brake hard. That critically reduces their ability to stick to the road.
So the causes really break down into two big buckets then?
That's the way to think about it. First, you have traction issues. That's the external stuff, the road surface, ice, water, gravel, and the tires themselves. Worn tread, wrong pressure.
Okay, and the second?
The second is force. That's you, the driver's inputs. Too much lateral force from turning too fast, or too much longitudinal force from hitting the gas or brake too hard.
And when those two things combine in the wrong way...
That's when you're no longer driving. You're sliding.
So what are the real stakes here? I mean, beyond just running off the road, what are the critical dangers?
The main thing is the complete loss of predictability.
Yeah.
Your steering wheel is useless. The car is going wherever momentum takes it.
Which is often into oncoming traffic.
Or a guardrail or a tree. And we have to talk about the risk of a rollover.
Right, especially for taller vehicles.
Exactly. SUVs, trucks, anything with a high center of gravity. If you're sliding sideways and the tires suddenly catch grip on, say, a patch of dry pavement or a curb.
Oh, I can picture that.
That sudden lateral force is exactly what can flip the vehicle.
And you mentioned some specific environmental triggers. We should probably clarify the difference between skidding and hydroplaning.
Yes, that is absolutely crucial because how you respond is different.
Okay.
So a skid means your tires are sliding on a slippery surface. Think ice, snow, oil. You still have some contact, maybe a tiny bit of friction.
But with hydroplaning...
Hydroplaning is totally different. That's when a layer of water builds up between the tire and the road, and you're literally lifted off the surface.
So you're not sliding on the road, you're floating above it on water.
Precisely. And when you hydroplane, you have zero steering, zero braking. You are completely at the mercy of physics.
Okay. That's terrifying. Which brings us to the most important part, the actionable stuff. You're in a slide. What is the very first life-saving step?
The sources are all unanimous on this. Stay calm.
Easier said than done.
It is, but panic is the enemy. Panic makes you do jerky things like slamming the brakes or yanking the wheel, which are the exact opposite of what you need to do. Just one deep breath.
And in that moment of calm, you diagnose the slide.
You diagnose it. You have to feel where the grip has failed. If the back end is swinging out, kind of trying to pass the front.
The classic fishtail.
That's oversteer.
Yeah.
The rear wheels have lost traction.
Yeah.
But if you're turning the wheel and the car just keeps going straight, like the front is just plowing ahead.
And the wheel feels scarily light.
That's understeer. The front wheels have given up.
Okay, let's tackle oversteer first. The back end is coming around. What's the move?
First, smoothly lift your foot off the gas. Do not hit the brakes. That will just make it worse. The main correction is to steer into the slide.
That's the classic advice, steer into the slide. Break that down for us. Why does that work?
If the rear of the car is swinging to your right, you gently steer to the right. You're pointing the front wheels in the direction the back of the car is already going.
To try and get the car straight again?
Exactly. You're trying to realign the car with its direction of travel. You're helping the tires catch up to the skid.
But what happens next? Because if you just hold it there, you'll start sliding the other way, right?
You have to be ready for the counter correction. As soon as you feel a car start to straighten out, you have to smoothly start unwinding the wheel, steering back the other way.
It's like a little dance.
It is. It's a series of small, smooth adjustments to find that balance again.
All right, now for understeer. The front wheels are plowing straight ahead. This correction feels completely wrong to me.
It's totally counterintuitive. Again, first step is to ease off the gas. Now, your instinct is to crank the steering wheel harder in the direction you want to go.
Of course. I'm not turning, so I should turn more.
But that's the mistake. The front tires already have zero grip. Asking them to turn harder is like yelling at someone who can't hear you.
So what do?
You actually have to reduce the steering angle.
Wait, you're telling me to unwind the wheel? To steer less? That seems contradictory to the oversteer advice.
It does, but here's why it works. In understeer, the front tires are overloaded. By unwinding the wheel just a little bit, you reduce the demand on them. You're giving them a tiny break.
You're letting them find grip again.
You're letting them find grip. That tiny moment of relief often allows them to reconnect with the pavement. Then, once you feel that connection come back, you can gently reapply your steering input.
Reduce the angle to find the grip. That is a vital piece of information. And for either type of slide, there's that one golden rule about where you look.
This is maybe the most important piece of advice. Look where you want to go, not at the thing you're trying to avoid.
Don't look at the tree.
Do not look at the tree. If you stare at the guardrail, your hands will instinctively steer you right into it. Force your eyes to look at the open lane, the escape path. Your hands will follow your gaze.
All right, let's shift gears to prevention, because avoiding the slide is always the best option. What are the biggest things we can control?
It starts and ends with your tires. Seriously. The condition of your tires is the #1 factor you control. People just don't pay enough attention to tread depth.
And that's critical for wet roads, right?
It's everything for wet roads. Worn tires can't channel water away. Hydroplaning goes from being a risk to a near certainty.
Is there a practical number people should know, a way to check?
Yeah, experts recommend a minimum of 632 of an inch for snow or ice. For wet roads, if you're under 432, your risk is huge.
And there's an easy way to check that, right?
There is. Grab a quarter, not a penny, a quarter. Stick it in the tread groove with Washington's head upside down. If the tread covers the top of his head, you're probably okay.
But if you can see all of his head...
If you can see all of his head, your tires are worn out. They need to be replaced, period. Especially if you live somewhere with rain or snow.
And what about tire pressure and type?
Pressure is non-negotiable. Check it regularly, especially when it gets cold, because cold air reduces pressure. And please don't use summer tires in the winter.
Why is that so bad?
The rubber compound on summer tires gets hard, almost like plastic when it gets cold. It loses all its flexibility, all its grip. It's like trying to drive on 4 hockey pucks.
Okay, so tires are #1. What about driving technique? How do we avoid spending that traction budget too quickly?
One word: smoothness. Everything has to be smooth. Reduce your speed for the conditions, that's obvious. But also, increase your following distance. 6, maybe 10 seconds in bad weather.
So you have more time to react smoothly.
Exactly. Every input, steering, braking, gas, has to be gradual. Remember that weight transfer. Jerky inputs violently throw the weight around and overload the tires. Smooth inputs let the weight transfer predictably.
What about cruise control? A lot of people use it on highways.
Turn it off on slippery roads?
Oh.
Absolutely. If you hit a patch of ice, the system will try to maintain speed, which might mean it actually accelerates to stop the wheel from slipping.
The exact opposite of what you should do.
The exact opposite. You, the driver, need total control of the throttle to be able to lift off smoothly.
Okay, so let's talk about the tech that's supposed to save us. ABS, traction control. How do they actually work?
Okay, let's start with ABS, the anti-lock braking system. Its main job is to stop your wheels from locking up when you slam on the brakes.
Because a locked sliding wheel has no steering control.
Right. ABS feels like a vibration or pulsing in the pedal. That's the system rapidly applying and releasing the brakes maybe 15 times a second to keep the wheels turning just a little bit.
Which allows you to maintain steering while you're braking hard.
That's the key. It lets you steer around an obstacle while braking.
So it's not a magic bullet.
Not at all. It's a braking aid. If you go into a corner way too fast, ABS can't create grip that isn't there. It won't stop a slide from too much speed. And it can't help you if you're hydroplaning.
Okay, so if ABS is for braking, what's traction control TC for?
Traction control is all about acceleration. Its job is to stop your wheels from spinning when you're trying to get going on a slippery surface.
Like from a stoplight in the snow.
Perfect example. If it detects one wheel spinning, it can reduce engine power or even apply the brake to that single wheel, which forces the power over to the wheel that has grip.
So TC helps you go, ABS helps you stop, but neither of them can really defy the physics of cornering too fast.
That's the perfect summary. They are incredible safety aids, but they are not a substitute for smooth inputs and appropriate speed.
Okay, we've covered a ton of ground here, from the traction budget and weight transfer all the way to the counterintuitive corrections for oversteer and understeer.
Yeah, and the key takeaway is really about proactive awareness. Your tires, your speed, your inputs.
And it really reframes driving, doesn't it?
It does. I think the best way to synthesize all of this is to think of driving as a constant dialogue. It's a conversation between you, your car, and the road.
And the car's giving you feedback the whole time.
Constantly. Through the steering wheel, it gets lighter as you lose grip. Through the pedals, even through the seat of your pants. Great drivers learn to listen to that feedback. They move past just reacting and into a state of prediction.
They can feel when they're approaching the limit of traction.
They feel it coming.
So here's a final thought for you to take away. The next time you get in your car, don't just drive it. Listen to it. Treat the controls like you're having a sensitive conversation, not just flipping a switch. Ask yourself, how can I get better at that conversation? Because figuring that out won't just help you prevent a slide. It will make you a more confident, more prepared, and ultimately a better driver in any condition.
Please like, subscribe, and get notified.